commitment that we have in life is good the whole time. No, you're gonna get a dump. They're gonna dump shit on you. Can you now stand in front of everybody with doo-doo on you and be like, yep, we finna try again. I'm finna do it again.
You know what? Let me wipe this shit off. I got another idea.
Oh, bro, like, I'm definitely finna take a bath, 100%. I'm gonna get it from in between my neck. Like, we gotta get the shit off us, but you gotta continue.
Teyana Taylor's confirming to the world that she has been separated from Iman. If you keep your ear to the streets, then you may have seen that there have been some speculation that Iman cheated on Teyana Taylor.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Pop Links. The moment hit like a storm no one saw coming. A sharp crack that split the image of one of hip-hop's favorite couples into 1,000 pieces. It wasn't whispered gossip. It wasn't speculation buried in blogs. It was public and undeniable, out in the open where millions could see. Iman Shumpert, the man Teyana Taylor had built her life around, stood before the world and made a choice that left her shattered. His words didn't come out by accident. They weren't the kind of slip you could excuse as nerves or poor timing. Instead, they carried the weight of something deliberate. A sting that hit harder because of who was standing just inches away, his wife, the woman who had always stood by him. The moment he favored his ex over her, the air in the room shifted. People caught their breath, heads turned, and phones went up to record what was happening in real time, as if history was unfolding right in front of their eyes. It wasn't just what Iman said, but the way he said it. There was no hesitation in his voice, no sense of caution, as though he wasn't worried about how his words would land or how deeply they would cut. For Teyana, it was more than betrayal, it was humiliation. This wasn't an argument behind closed doors, where the pain could be hidden and the tears could fall in private. No, this was a public rejection, a symbolic gesture that placed another woman over her in a way that could never be erased. Cameras captured her face in that moment, the way her smile faltered, the flicker of disbelief in her eyes. She didn't have to say a word, her silence told the entire story. The pain was etched across her features, broadcasted for anyone paying attention to see. Fans didn't miss it. In fact, they amplified it. Within minutes, social media lit up like wildfire, screenshots and clips flooding timelines across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Did he really just say that? One fan wrote, disbelief dripping through every word. Another post showed Teyana's expression in slow motion, replayed and analyzed like it was evidence in a courtroom. Some even circled her face, zooming in on her reaction, as if those fleeting seconds held the secret to her entire marriage. People couldn't believe that Iman had chosen to make such a bold statement, right there in public, when he had to know the world was watching. And that's what made it so explosive. This wasn't a mistake whispered at a party, or a rumor spread by outsiders. This was his voice, his words, his actions, and they landed like a blade cutting straight through the heart of his marriage. For Teyana, it must have felt like time stood still. Imagine standing beside the person you've built a family with, the one you've defended through every scandal, the one you've celebrated and loved publicly, only to watch him turn his loyalty toward another woman. It wasn't just about the ex, it was about what that choice represented. To choose someone else, in front of her, meant that Teyana's place as wife, as partner, as queen in their shared story was being challenged. The crown she had worn proudly suddenly felt like it was slipping, and she couldn't stop it. No matter how strong, confident, and radiant she was, no one is immune to the sting of betrayal. And when betrayal is public, it cuts deeper than any private wound ever could. The humiliation didn't end in the room where it happened, it spilled into the world like poison in water. Every gossip blog had the story within hours, headlines screaming that Iman had chosen his ex over his wife. Pundits on podcasts dissected the clip, some siding with Teyana, others trying to excuse Iman's words as harmless. But there was nothing harmless about it. The choice had been made, and once spoken aloud, it couldn't be taken back. For Teyana, every new headline was another reminder of what she had endured. She didn't just lose in that moment, she lost control of the narrative, as millions of strangers now debated the meaning of her marriage and her worth as a woman. What made the sting worse was how bold Iman looked in the aftermath. He didn't seem flustered or apologetic, at least not in that moment. It was as if he truly believed he could make that choice and still stand tall, unaware, or maybe uncaring, about the weight of what he'd done to Teyana. That kind of confidence, or arrogance, depending on how you looked at it, only fueled the anger online. Fans couldn't believe that a man, who had once called his wife his rock, could stand there and elevate another woman without hesitation. And for Teyana, that must have been the hardest part to swallow, that someone she had given her all to didn't seem to think twice before wounding her in a way that would leave permanent scars. The betrayal carried layers that went beyond one single moment. It wasn't just about Iman's ex, it was about every doubt, every rumor, every whisper that had ever haunted their relationship. For years, people speculated about whether Iman was truly loyal, whether he could handle being married to a woman as powerful and independent as Teyana. And she had always pushed back, always defended him, always chosen to show strength in the face of gossip. But now, in one brutal moment, Iman had handed those skeptics the validation they craved. He had given them proof that the cracks in their relationship were real, that the whispers weren't just noise. And that realization didn't just sting, it shattered. People in the audience described the room going quiet, as though everyone understood the weight of what had just happened. Some said they caught glimpses of Teyana trying to hold her composure, forcing herself to stay upright while her insides crumbled. Others claimed she looked away, her jaw tightening in that way you do when you're trying to stop tears from falling. It was strength in the face of weakness, dignity in the middle of destruction, and it broke hearts to watch. Fans who adored her, who had always seen her as a beacon of power and resilience, now saw her humanity exposed in the harshest way possible. And that's what made people so angry on her behalf. They knew that no matter how strong Teyana was, no woman deserved to be humiliated in front of the world by the man she trusted most. By the time the night ended, the damage was irreversible. Clips of the moment were everywhere, Teyana's reaction dissected from every angle, Iman's choice replayed again and again like a wound that refused to close. And as the world weighed in, one question echoed louder than all the rest: was this a simple slip of the tongue, or the beginning of the end for one of hip-hop's most admired couples? For Teyana, it didn't matter how the world labeled it. All she knew was that the man she loved had made her question everything in a single moment, and there was no taking it back. To understand why this moment cut so deep, you have to look back at how Iman and Teyana's love story began. It wasn't just any romance, it was the kind of bond people described as a fairy tale. When they first came together, it felt like destiny. They were young, vibrant, and full of passion, and fans couldn't get enough of the way they moved as a unit. Their wedding was celebrated like a hip-hop love anthem, and when their children came into the picture, the family looked like a perfect portrait of strength and unity. Teyana often called Iman her partner, her teammate in life, and the one person who truly understood her grind. On the outside, they looked unshakable, like nothing could come between them. But behind the smiles and the perfect family photos, cracks had already started to form. Rumors swirled through the years, whispers of infidelity, claims that Iman wasn't always loyal, and stories about women who hovered at the edges of their marriage. Teyana always stood firm, brushing off the noise, protecting her home, and proving doubters wrong. Yet one name kept coming up: Iman's ex. She was like a ghost in their story, never fully present, but never completely gone either. For years, she was dismissed as part of his past, someone irrelevant to his future with Teyana. But when Iman publicly chose her over his wife, that ghost suddenly became real again, and the fairytale love story began to look more like a fragile glass about to shatter. Thanks for watching Poplinks. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Poplinks for more awesome content.